Welcome to Dial the Gate, the Stargate Oral History Project. My name is David Reed. This is obviously an impromptu episode. It is pre-recorded, but I'm not going to do any editing on this, so forgive me, because this sucks. Different location. I am in France on the Swiss border right now because I spent this past weekend with the children of MacGyver at their first public convention. And Richard Dean Anderson was there. I'll show a couple of things in a minute, but it was a good time. I haven't read the Variety article, but I will read it in just a moment. A couple 3 months ago, I went to visit my godson in L.A., and I reached out to Martin Gero, and I said, it'd be wonderful to see you guys. And while I was out there, and I mean, he didn't blink. He just said, let me check things over with Amazon, and we'll see if you can stop by. And so I went over to his production space, Quinn's house, and was hoping to see, Martin and maybe Brad and Joe. And what I got for the next 90 minutes was one of the most seminal experiences of my life. It was a grilling with me at the center in this seat, this hot seat, and 20 production people, writers, producers, assistants, just all in this room, asking me questions about the franchise and the lore, and chiefly what it was that I thought worked about this epic thing that we love. And it was a remarkable experience to get to meet some of the writers that Martin had brought in to provide a little bit of context to this thing that they were now grasping with. And it was just amazing. And it was not what I brought a box of Krispy Kremes. I just wanted to say hi to the guys. And instead, I was welcomed into this team of people who were clearly excited about what they were making, and obvious to me from the get-go, completely respectful about what came before, enthusiastic in their eyes. You could see everything was firing on all cylinders. You could see that something that I was excited about transferred to them. It wasn't fake. It was a beautiful thing to watch. And now that's not going to happen. So I just wanted to share that story now because it was a really great gift that Martin gave me, even though I just butted in and asked to say hey to him and Brad and Joe. I got to meet the people who were building this thing out there, and that was quite a team. I don't feel sorry. Well, I feel a little bit sorry for myself, but I mean, the one that I really feel sorry for is Martin. There are just no words to express it. So let's move along and have a look at the Stargate article that Variety posted. I know Darren did a thing on Gate World yesterday. I haven't. I'm going in cold on all of this, so bear with me, please. Okay, Stargate TV series from Martin Gero, not moving forward at Amazon, exclusive. The new Stargate TV series has been axed at Amazon, Variety has learned exclusively. The show was first announced with a series order in November of 2025. It hailed from writer, executive producer, and showrunner Martin Gero, who was a writer on Stargate SG-1 and Stargate Atlantis early in his career. According to an individual with knowledge of the situation, Amazon execs were concerned that Gero's take on the series would not have brought appeal beyond the franchise's already dedicated fan base. Wow. So there's that. Advertisements. More advertisements. It was first reported back in 2022 that Amazon was looking to develop new projects in the Stargate universe following the company's acquisition of Stargate producer MGM Studios. Although Gero's series will not proceed, Amazon is still exploring new ways to further the franchise. Gero remains under an overall deal at MGM Studios and will continue to develop projects moving forward. No plot details were ever released for his take on the show. According to Gero, executive producers also included Joby Harold and Tori Tunnell for Safe House Pictures, as well as Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich, who co-wrote the original film with, okay, yada yada. I get it. Stargate launched in 1994. More ads. There, yeah. Okay. Well, that's news. That's a truism. More specifically, according to an individual with knowledge of the situation, Amazon execs were concerned that Gero's take on the series would not have broad appeal beyond the franchise's already dedicated fan base. You know, someone can put in the comments exactly where this came from, but I don't know if it's for the Kelvin timeline, Star Trek 3 or 4, but there was apparently a Star Trek script that was written that was declined by Paramount for being too Star Trek-y. These things cannot be designed with too much broad appeal or they don't work. I think a product like Starfleet Academy exemplifies that. You can create. All right, fine. So what we're going to do is obviously have a State of the Gate with Jenny and Darren. We're planning that for Thursday. I'm trying to get the details nailed down, but we're just all going to get together in a broader group and digest this. And this is not going to be unlike the morning of a death in the family, because it's obviously heavy for all of us, and I'm kind of spinning my wheels knowing that particular paragraph that was the reason why. When I found out this morning, it was 1 a.m. in France, and my phone exploded because all the Americans were reaching out to me, and I just put it on mute and went to bed. There were some tears, and then I woke up and looked at it again, and it was exploding because all the Europeans were reaching out to me. But so this is going to take some time to parse. Talked with my folks, and they were like, "Don't feel sorry for yourself." It's like, well, no, I'm gonna kind of feel sorry for myself for about 24 hours here, and then I'm gonna cut it off. So for all of those of you who reached out to me, please have patience with me. I really appreciate it. We're gonna get through this together. This is not the end of the franchise. I can't speak to the quality of what may come. It's not an impossibility that they could create something with broader appeal. What in their mind is broader appeal, and not have the majority of us love it. It's entirely possible. But that paragraph is staggering. But this show is evergreen. It applies to us as we move forward into the future and as we grapple with the challenges that come our way as a species. And it's a beautiful thing that cannot be pushed down for long. Don't despair. Despair. a little bit, but get over it as best you can. This has been an extraordinary week. I met with Richard Dean Anderson for a little bit, not just a photo, at Metz. I am looking forward to having him on the show at some point soon. And that's a good thing. The folks at EMG got their picture with Richard Dean in front of the Stargate that they built together. And just watching that moment was magic. This is something that they've been working for over 12 years. There's a ton of... but before the movies, where do people go do their coughing? Yeah, that's a good question. There was a ton of smiling faces on this thing here, and some very stern. It's like, okay, we've got Jack here. We're gonna do this straight. But what a wonderful team. And Quentin, who is the president of EMG of the club, he messaged me earlier, and I wanted to read it because I can personally, Darren and I will personally relate. He said, "Those few days were a real emotional roller coaster. I was hoping the new series would help us in a few different ways, and now it's gone, just after our first public exhibition. I have no words. How are you feeling?" Same. "All the love and support from the EMG team to the whole production/artistic team. We know how much passion and hard work they put into this and can just imagine how hard it must be. Thank you, Quentin." They did an extraordinary job with this, and I can't help but relate it to something that happened to Darren and myself. We spent the better part of a year building Gate World 2.0 or 3.0. I think it was 2.0. And serendipitously timed it with the launch of 200, which aired on a Friday. And that Monday, the first major news story published in that new Gate World portal was SG1 has been canceled. And it was almost as much of a kick in the teeth as this is. So I really relate to what Quentin is feeling, because they finally get this thing off the ground, and it was a wonderful event. They got well over 1,500 photos taken for fans. I'll link their website in the description below, so you can check them out. But I'm in France. C'est la vie. We will get through this together. Stargate is not dead. Dial the Gate is not dead. We're going to continue to bring you interviews, and we still have a lot to cover. I am so thankful for my Patreon members, because if I didn't have that set up now, I really don't know what I would be faced with, because I wouldn't really be able to continue the project, I don't think, if this wasn't already in place. I think if I didn't have you guys, Dial the Gate at this point moving forward would be dead. Just positioned as the archive that it was designed to be. So thank you, all of you, for making that possible, because we're going to continue to bring you the best Stargate content that we can. And we're going to wait this thing out. We're going to go back into the void and drift with destiny until something else comes along. What that shape will be, I don't know. But I will not exist in despair. I was reading a number of, but not a number, just scratched the surface, really. I posted on socials, think before you post. And there were a couple who were like, "No, I'm going to be toxic." You do you, man. If that makes you feel better. Not here. Not here. My name is David Reed for Dial the Gate. I appreciate you tuning in. and I will see you on the other side.